these folks have been right on the front lines from the beginning, and they're made their message heard. That's the beauty of people getting organized together. People are mobilized by an issue that's important. So
this is important.
Yeah.
And I think the Premier should think carefully about how he's going to present his members in the next election.
Well, I think he should think carefully about maybe amending some legislation so that we don't put our water at risk.
Hi, good to see you.
How does it feel to show up to a bunch of happy, supportive water people?
It's wonderful because it's a good reminder of the work we have to do.
The government will rely on courts for public policy, and the courts will continue to support people, I hope. And if not, then they need to step in with some proactive measures.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I was wondering if you have any comments on all the people out here asking for protection of water.
I think it's wonderful that they're asking for that, and I'm sure the government will work with them. And I think it's great that we're all mindful and conscious of the environment, and so that's good. It's good.
Work, guys. Of water to determine the activities that go on in its own watershed. In other words, we have to pay the price to the public to provide potable water, and we have no ability to call the shots as to what goes on in our water system. And that's unfair. That's a bad place to be. So we need to resolve that, and we will.
Is there a specific activity that's going on at the moment that has triggered this?
Well, the harvesting by Western Forest Products was the latest of a long series of issues that predicated this action. And all I can say is God bless the people that are here today, because they're getting the message out, and the message is clear. They have tremendous support from people around this entire UBCM. There are about 1,500 delegates here, and I can tell you that the message will be carried to the province of BC.
We've got to protect every aquifer we have that's active. Anything that's sensitive, we've got to really look at.
The government's putting private interests, shareholders' interests ahead of the public interest, and that's ridiculous.
Clearly, there's a number of issues. One is protecting the integrity of our watersheds. We know the efforts that have been made around Chapman Creek, for example, very positive efforts to try to ensure the integrity and protect the integrity of that creek. The government needs to respond to that and ensure that they advance the ability of local communities to provide those protections.
I think that it's part of our fundamental rights as people to have access to clean drinking water.
Water is the most valuable resource or commodity that we have, more so than oil and gas in the long run.
I'm just feeling that everything's just so short-sighted at this point as far as how valuable water is as a resource.
Well, what we're seeing here is a total misuse or misunderstanding of the value of water as a public asset and public resource.
And I don't understand why our government isn't working to protect our resource of water.
Well, and you brought up another issue that we've been looking at, and last year I had the privilege of going up into traditional territories north of Prince George, and there's a lake there called Duncan Lake. There's a mining interest that once had applied to use it as an acid, to convert it to an acid tailing pond. They wanted to put 350 million tons of acid tailings into that lake, and all the First Nations said no. And I was involved in a ceremony up there, a purification ceremony for the lake. The kids were doing a fishing derby, and the environmental assessment just came out that said, no, you shouldn't kill the lake. However, the province and the federal government have been silent, and they have not yet said that they will not allow the killing of the lake. So we're demanding them to adhere to the recommendations of the environmental assessment. And why did they do an environmental assessment anyways on whether or not you should kill a lake? That's ridiculous.
This is a resource we need for this generation and future generations, and it's important we stand strong and together on the issue. Thank you.
So there's a whole lot of a new emphasis, I hope, going to be put on water in the very short today and heading into the short and near future. And if that happens, maybe the value of the asset will go up in the minds of the public as a public asset. I think that is starting to happen. It's starting to turn, and we need to encourage that more so, and we need to encourage people to to think about how important water is.